nearly 61% of all the assets in their holdings is actually Ethereum. What do they know? Hello and welcome to this week's crypto update. So what's been happening out there in the crypto space? Well, first and foremost, this week saw the largest liquidation event in crypto history. Even bigger than the collapse of FTX, even bigger than COVID. So what happened? Well, there was a huge sell-off. Liquidations were hit. Official figures that were put out there were somewhere between 2 and 3 billion, which makes this the biggest ever. Though there are crypto exchange owners who have come out and said that's just what's reported. With the proper API connections, it would be something closer to 8 to 10 billion. This is enormous. Of course, this brings with it the fear and greed index has dropped to 38. The lower the number, the more fear in the market. This marks the first prolonged period of market fear since before the Q4 pump. So what's happening out there? When you have this big sell-off, people get afraid. There can be a huge sell-off in certain areas. Of course, the likes of AI within crypto and AI agents have been pumping really strongly. There's a very strong AI narrative out there. But of course, with the DeepSeek news that came out of China, it really knocked some of the confidence out of that. There was a massive sell-off in some of those areas, but right across the board in crypto. And so now we have this fear and greed number going even lower. What happens from here? It's very possible it goes even lower, depending on what way the market moves, but there could be some really good opportunities coming in the near future if that was to drop further. Usually the further that goes down, the closer it marks the bottom, a local bottom, and it can be great buying opportunities. But is there a significant pullback to come? First of all, let's see if all of these liquidations happened, who's been selling? And of course, if there are sellers, there has to be buyers. This won't be a shock to anybody who's around crypto for any length of time. Here's a chart of the Bitcoin retail and large investor holdings. In over the last couple of months, since Bitcoin has hit its current range of sort of that 100k mark, we see huge sell-offs from retail and the large investors are buying it up. Traditionally, what happens in the market, the retailers get shaken out of their position, people sell off their coins, and the large investors come in, swoop up, buy them up in advance of the next run. And of course, most people believe there's an extraordinary big bull run to come yet. We'll touch on that again later. What's the macro news around crypto? Well, a lot of talk, of course, about the Bitcoin strategic reserve. Will Donald Trump bring that into play? Well, here's some information from David Sachs, who they've brought in as their crypto czar in the US. And here's what he's had to say. One of the things the president instructed us to do was to evaluate the idea of a Bitcoin reserve. That's one of the first things that we're going to look at as part of internal working group of the administration. So it's up there as an absolute priority to check into it. Of course, that doesn't guarantee it, but most people see this as a really positive signal towards this happening eventually. What timeline will it take? Who knows? But it seems highly likely that it's going to come at some point in time. And this, following on from this, he weighs in and said that the Bitcoin reserve amid wealth fund plans. Why does this matter? Why is it such a big deal if this Bitcoin reserve comes into place? Well, if the US adopts a Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset, it could legitimize Bitcoin in national finance, drive institutional demand, and push other countries to follow suit. So we've already seen institutions, the demand starting to grow there. We've seen money flowing into the likes of the ETFs at record levels. And again, the start of the year, it's been huge. But having the strongest economy in the world come out and use Bitcoin as a part of a strategic reserve would be incredible validation across all financial institutions and governments across the world. The potential then is that US Bitcoin reserve, they have one, and its inclusion in a sovereign wealth fund could legitimize Bitcoin as a strategic asset, influencing institutional adoption and global policy. And so for builders and of course investors, if Bitcoin becomes a strategic asset, long-term accumulation could gain further tailwinds. So again, in the long-term view here, it would appear that the future is extremely optimistic for Bitcoin. And, whatever about the local movements of it over the days or weeks, over months and years, most people expect Bitcoin to be worth significantly more than it is right now, and an awful lot more the further out that time frame you go. What else have we got? On top of all of this, we have more positive news coming out of the US. The US SEC, the SEC, who has been chasing down absolutely every major company in the US and making things extremely difficult. They are now reducing their crypto enforcement efforts, reassigning over 50 lawyers to working on cryptocurrency cases. So it appears that they're doing less chasing, and they are actually promising as well to put in the proper rules and regulations so it'll make it easier for companies to actually know what rules to follow and abide by them. Again, usually positive news. Tariffs, of course, have been very much in the news the last couple of days. What happened? Trump came out and said he's putting tariffs on Canada, 25%, tariffs in Mexico, 25%. These are huge. 10% on Canadian energy, an additional 10% on China. And a lot of people thought, he's going to start a trade war, or even worse. What happened? Within 24 hours or less, Mexico came out and said, okay, we'll do what you're asked. We're going to put 10,000 people at the border to protect the border, stop drugs, arms, etc. being going from Mexico into the US. About 24 hours after that, Canada also conceded and said, okay, we'll do the same. We'll put 10,000 up here. Exactly what Trump wanted. Instead of having a war, he has used it as a threat and got exactly what he wanted. What effect can these tariffs have overall? First, tariffs sow chaos. With tariffs, you never know what the implications of those tariffs are going to be. Bitcoin tends to thrive in it, and traditional markets despise instability. So a lot of people look at that and go, okay, where should I be investing now in a time when tariffs are going to be used as a threat and maybe even introduced? Trump's broader aim is to bring US manufacturing jobs back into home by weakening the dollar. So the dollar has been strengthening and strengthening over the last number of months. His plan is to weaken the dollar to help manufacturing come back in, and this pushes investors towards alternative assets. What does this mean for Bitcoin? A falling dollar historically drives investors towards assets they believe can store or grow their wealth amid chaos. Gold, of course, has always been one of those. Gold, of course, is reaching all-time highs yet again. Real estate, and now, of course, digital assets, in particular Bitcoin and others. What others? I'll come back to that. MicroStrategy has rebranded to Strategy, now featuring a Bitcoin logo in its name. Also on MicroStrategy, there was a 12-week buying, continuous buying from MicroStrategy. Every week came out with another, hundreds of millions or billions worth of Bitcoin being bought. Not this week. However, many people put that down to the fact that there was a blackout for a week before they report. Many people believe the buying will start again next week. We will see. Elon Musk supports putting government spending on the blockchain to improve transparency and accountability, which of course it would, because you'd be able to see all movements of funds. And of course, more positive news for Bitcoin. 15 out of 50 of the US states now have a Bitcoin reserve bill proposed, with New Mexico joining Ohio, reintroducing its bill. So again, massive positive long-term view for the likes of Bitcoin. Is it the only kid in town? Not according to Eric Trump, who tweeted this just a couple of days ago. In my opinion, it's a great time to add ETH. In fact, when he originally tweeted it, he tweeted that and said, thank me later. So obviously they have a very positive feel towards Ethereum. Do they have Bitcoin? Yes, they have wrapped Bitcoin in their portfolio of their digital financial company, but nearly 61% of all the assets in their holdings is actually Ethereum. What do they know? On top of that, over the last year, Ethereum exchange balances have decreased by 1,141,702 ETH. In today's value, that's 3.17 billion. So again, their general news around Ethereum over the last number of weeks and even months has been pretty negative, and a lot of talk about Solana and others taking over. But it's still the king when it comes to most metrics. There's a huge amount of Ethereum going off exchanges, usually a very positive sign in that when they're on exchanges, they're usually there to be sold. The fact that there's less and less on there, there's less sell pressure. Then you have the president's son coming out saying, better be checking out Ethereum. They have huge holding on that. there could be something very positive coming for Ethereum in the near future, and the price has been as good as it has been for a long time. Other news, XRP ledger resumes activity after second outage in 3 months. Ripple's XRP ledger resumes operation after second outage, raising concerns about the network stability and resilience. This is the network that some people will have you believe is going to be the new SWIFT system for banks around the world. I just don't see it myself. Who knows? But this is a very unfortunate timing for them, as Brad, their CEO, has been pushing really strongly to Trump and the administration to have XRP included in the digital reserve of the US, being, more than just Bitcoin, but suggesting that Ripple should be another one, or XRP should be another token that's in there. Many people feel that's unlikely. In fact, that it's even delaying the Bitcoin strategic reserve. Many people believe this is far too centralized a product, and now it's got this outages happening as well. It certainly weakens its case. On the finance, a company that seems to be on the move. Here they're saying, today we're excited to unveil first look at the next evolution of Ondo Global Markets, our real-world asset tokenization platform designed to enable on-chain access to stocks, bonds, and ETFs. What stablecoins did for dollars on the global markets will do for securities. So originally, they were, tokenizing just treasuries. Now they're expanding that out into stocks, bonds, and ETFs. This is huge positive news in general, and certainly for Ondo Finance. Watch this space. And then there comes the warning. So Zach XBT, he is a on-chain analysis and regularly does deep dives in various areas. He claims that Coinbase users lost over 65 million to social engineering scams in the last 2 months. So a lot of people think, when they go on a big exchange, whether it's Binance or Coinbase or the likes, that their money is safe and that there's no issue. Not necessarily the case. Now, not saying that this is Coinbase's issue or fault, but the point is, this is why we at WOW are so adamant it's so important to be educated in the space, and why, if you go onto our platform, community.wealthofwisdom.io, you will see that we have a load of free educational material on there. There's courses that you can do, quizzes you can take, and even certifications you can get. On top of that, there's insights into the market, weekly updates, and so on. We heavily suggest that people educate themselves, so in order to know exactly what they're doing within crypto, but also to avoid situations like this where you just lose your money. And of course, where is it all in the market all going from here? So finally, here is the Bitcoin price performance since cycle low. So what this does is, on the left hand side, this is the cycle low for each one. In this one, it's just got the 2015 to 18 cycle. And overlaid on top of it is the black one, which is the current cycle. You can see it's tracked it really closely. In fact, 92% accuracy, which is an extremely tight correlation. If it is to continue in the same vein, that would bring Bitcoin to a valuation of about $250,000. No one's guaranteeing that's going to happen. Maybe it doesn't trend in the same way as this, but certainly you would say, from all the macro news around cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, etc., that the outlook is extremely bullish. But beware, there certainly is opportunity for strong pullbacks along the way, and the macro environment within the overall economies certainly has plenty of potential pitfalls. If we have a very quick look at the Bitcoin chart, we can see, it's climbed very nicely. It's trending sideways right now on the weekly. If we go into the daily, we can see the daily being each bar here being 1 day. It is now starting to trend sideways and has been pretty much since the 20th of November. So it's in this particular range sideways across. A lot of people would see this as an overall bullish chart. It has moved upwards into this sideways track. And even if you go into the 4-day, you will actually see it's starting to trend. There's a general trend downwards. You can see here the top bar. It's fair enough. It had a solid break out of that, but came back in pretty rapidly. And generally, it's been hopping off that yellow bar on top, and the bar underneath again, that has acted as support. Of course, at some stage it's going to break out of this range. Again, most people would see this as a bullish trend within the charts. However, I believe we're going to see a breakout of this In the fairly short term, within a matter of days, it's very possible. But the big question, of course, is does it break up or does it break down? If it breaks down, there's every possibility this could go, Bitcoin could go as low as its previous all-time highs, which if you go back into the daily chart, you'll see is around the 74, 75k mark. So if we just look here, these were where it trended sideways the last time for quite a few months, but it hit off roughly 74k was its high. There's every chance that this gap here that you see gets closed. And if that were to happen, we're looking at a 74, 75k Bitcoin or even lower. And if that happens, altcoins will get completely crushed and it will be an unbelievable buy opportunity. That may not happen, of course. We could bull on from here. We could have a breakout to the upside, in which case 120k Bitcoin will absolutely be on the cards. But for now, I would watch the space. Tread carefully, do your own research, DCA or where you can, and of course, ensure you are educated. Within WoW, huge announcements coming up, a really brilliant new project going to be announced in the next couple of weeks, and indeed, lots happening within our community. So watch out for the next calls. Next one is 6:30 on Friday, UK time. We'll talk to you then.